Even if you have the toughest tough on crime position, I think you still appreciate what I have to say about the value of college and prison. First of all, I will not address whether or not inmates deserve college education. That is a separate discussion. What I will do is talk about the very practical reasons why college and prison is valuable. Point number 1, recidivism. That is, the rate of return to prison upon release. College and prison reduces recidivism. This is something everyone wants to know about, is how are tax dollars being spent to prevent people from coming back to prison? Correctional education generally, college and prison specifically, is one of the most effective ways to reduce recidivism. The last almost 40 years of research about the relationship between correctional education and recidivism shows that there's almost a 28 to 43% reduction in recidivism just for participating in some form of correctional education. The higher the level of education they obtain, the less likely it is they'll return to prison. This is a well-established fact. Some estimates say that for every dollar spent on college and prison, $4 are saved in the cost of reincarceration down the road. So recidivism is one of those important points that the public wants to know about. It's an established fact that college and prison reduces it. The second one would be employability. People coming out of prison with a college education are much more likely to obtain a job. That increase in employability is probably what mediates the reduction in recidivism. So reduction in recidivism and increased employability are two important points that most people want to talk about. But I want to add two more. And these are not exhaustive. These are just two more that I think are really important. This would be point number 3, which is personal transformation. The personal transformation that occurs within a student who's exposed to college and prison is second only to religious conversion in the way that it affects not only them, but the people around them. What people will tell you is that they came into prison with a very narrow worldview, and being introduced to the world through things like history, the liberal arts, and social sciences expanded their perspective of the world and their perspective of themselves as a citizen and someone who is a part of a community. The other point I'd like to make is that the next effect of that personal transformation is family and relationship reconciliation. Because it is akin to religious conversion, one of the first things that students want to do when they have this newfound perspective of themselves and the world is to share it with others. And the most important people in their lives will be their children. And if you know anything about the statistics, children who have parents in prison are far more likely to end up in prison themselves, or homeless, or on drugs, or dead. That's a picture of my friend Tracy. He just got out after 26 years. If you asked him about one of the benefits of college and prison, he's going to say the effect it had on him and his family. That's a story you'll hear repeatedly if you actually talk to the people who have been affected. And I think you'll agree the children didn't do anything to deserve a fatherless home. So while the fathers and mothers are punished, the children are still benefiting indirectly through the education of their parents. So whether the person who is enrolled in school remains in prison or is about to get released, that personal transformation is valuable if for no other reason than the fact that it's going to spill over into his family and friends, and not only them, but the people around him within the prison. So aside from recidivism for people getting out, aside from employability, there's also the personal transformation that occurs within the person, and there's the restoration between relationships and their family that occurs outside of them. This leads to the final point I'll make in this short video, which is that college and prison programs reduce violence within prison. One study showed that there was almost an 85% reduction in disciplinary infractions from people who participated in a college program. Similar studies bear out the same results. People who are participating in college are less likely to be engaged in violence in the prison. But not only them, the effect they're going to have on the people around them is also going to reduce that violence. A reduction in violence helps everyone. It makes the officers feel safer. There's less officer turnover. Officers, by the way, have one of the top 10 most stressful jobs in the country. Officer turnover is a huge problem in Texas. It also saves on medical costs and property damage because they're not fighting and burning their mattresses. Instead, they're focused on Plato and the Constitution. So whether we're talking about people who are in prison long-term, college and prison is still valuable even for them because of the reduction in violence, the personal transformation, and the family restoration that occurs among their family and friends and those around them. So those are just a few points that I think even the person with the toughest tough-on-crime approach, the harshest of retributive justice perspectives, can still appreciate the fact that changing lives and making the prison a safer place is still valuable in it. So those are just a few points I wanted to make. In addition to recidivism and gainful employment, which is what everyone focuses on, the personal transformation, the family restoration, reduction in violence inside the prisons, all of this accounts for a better overall culture. College and prison does that. So these are just a few points I wanted to make. So if this information is useful to you, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to make more videos like this, expanding on all of these points with all of the research to back it up. Thanks.